The Royal Hospital Chelsea is a retirement home and nursing home for some 300 retired British soldiers of the British Army. It is an independent charity and relies partly upon donations from supporters to cover day-to-day running costs to provide 21st-century care and accommodation for former veterans. It is a 66-acre site located on Royal Hospital Road in Chelsea, London, in the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea, and the residents at the Royal Hospital are referred to as pensioners, although they are more famously known as the Chelsea pensioners. To become a Chelsea pensioner, any man or woman who is over the age of 65 and served as a regular soldier in the British Army may apply, on the basis they have found themselves in a time of need and are of good character. They must not, however, have any dependents, spouse or family, and former officers must have served at least 12 years in the ranks before receiving a commission. History. King Charles II founded the Royal Hospital in 1682 as a retreat for veterans. The provision of a hostel rather than the payment of pensions was inspired by Les Invalides in Paris. The site for the Royal Hospital was an area of Chelsea which held an incomplete building, Chelsea College, a theological college James I founded in 1609. The Royal Hospital opened its doors to the Chelsea pensioners in 1692 for the relief and succor of veterans. Some of the first soldiers admitted included those injured at the Battle of Sedgemoor. Wren expanded his original design to add 2 additional quadrangles to the east and west of the central court. These were known respectively as the Light Horse Court and the College Court. Due to mismanagement by Lord Ranelagh, the hospital treasurer, the building was not completed until 1692. Sir John Soane, who was clerk of work in the early part of the 19th century, designed and constructed a new infirmary building which was located to the west of the main building on the site of the current National Army Museum and was destroyed by bombing during the Second World War. It was replaced by a modern infirmary which was located to the east of the main building and opened by Queen Elizabeth the Queen Mother in 1961. The 1960s infirmary was demolished to make way for the Margaret Thatcher Infirmary, which was designed by Sir Quinlan Terry and was completed in 2008, providing a state-of-the-art care home. In 2002, the Sovereign's mace was presented to the hospital. Up until then, the hospital had had no colours, a distinctive device. The mace is now carried at all the ceremonial events at the hospital. The mace was designed by Charles Webb and Aubrey Bowdin and was made by master goldsmith Norman Bastland. The bowl of the mace is decorated with acorns and is surmounted by the St. Edward's crown. In March 2009, the first women in the hospital's 317-year history were admitted as pensioners. Winifred Phillips and Dorothy Hughes were the first. Phillips trained as a nurse and later joined the Auxiliary Territorial Service in 1948 before enlisting in the Women's Royal Army Corps in 1949. While serving in Egypt, after 22 years' service, she retired with the rank of Warrant Officer Class 2. Hughes had joined the British Army in 1941, aged 18, later working as part of 450 Heavy Anti-Aircraft Battery in the London Division. In 1945 the battery was deployed near Dover to defend against V-1 flying bomb attacks. She retired with the rank of Sergeant. Clothing. Chelsea pensioners are entitled to come and go from the Royal Hospital as they please, and are permitted to wear civilian clothing wherever they travel. However, within the hospital, and in the surrounding area, pensioners are encouraged to wear a blue uniform. If they travel farther from the Royal Hospital, they should wear the distinctive scarlet coats instead of the blue uniform. The scarlet coats are also worn for ceremonial occasions, accompanied by tricorn hats. In uniform, the pensioners wear the medal ribbons and the insignia of rank they reached while serving in the military. military. They may also wear other insignia they earned during the service, and many pensioners now wear parachute jump wings and even sash jump wings. Contrary to popular belief, it is not illegal to impersonate a Chelsea pensioner. The myth probably dates from a ruling, repealed by the Statute Law Act 2008, regarding the fraud of taking an unearned pension. Founders Day. The Royal Hospital Founders Day takes place close to the 29th of May each year, the birthday of Charles II, and the date of his restoration as king in 1660. It is also known as O'Capel Day, as it commemorates the escape of the future king following his defeat at the Battle of Worcester in 1651, when he hid in the Royal Oak to avoid capture by parliamentary forces. On Founders Day, pensioners of the Royal Hospital are reviewed by a member of the British royal family. Statue of King Charles II. The 7 feet 6 inches statue of King Charles II, which stands in the central court of the hospital, was cast in copper alloy by Grinling Gibbons. It was originally gilded but was bronzed in 1787. In 2002, the statue was regilded to celebrate Queen Elizabeth II's Golden Jubilee. Chapel. The hospital's chapel was designed by Sir Christopher Wren and is a fine and rare example of Wren's pure ecclesiastical work. It rises 42 feet high and was completed in 1687. The chapel contains a fine painting of the Resurrection in the half-dome of the apse, painted by Sebastiano Ricci and his nephew Marco, and dates from the end of Queen Anne's reign. The chapel was consecrated in August 1691, and services were formerly held twice daily. Nowadays services are confined to Sunday mornings and special military occasions. Great Hall. The Great Hall was also designed by Sir Christopher Wren and was originally intended as a dining hall, furnished with 16 long tables, one for each original long ward. It contains a large mural painting from around 1690, which depicts King Charles II on horseback being crowned by the winged figure of Victory, with the Royal Hospital buildings behind. Just before 1800, the pensioners started dining in the wards, and the hall was then used for recreational purposes. It was here that the Duke of Wellington lay in state in 1852, and the table on which his coffin rested is just inside the entrance. The hall reverted to its original use as a dining hall in 1955. The state apartments. The heavily molded ceiling displaying James II's cipher is by John Grow. The wainscoting is by William Clearer, and the fine lime wood carving over the fireplace is by William Emmett. The room was completed between 1685 and 1688. It was fully roofed in 1685, days before Charles II died. Within the state apartments is also an antechamber. Both the council chamber and antechamber can be hired for private functions and weddings. The Margaret Thatcher Infirmary. The Margaret Thatcher Infirmary houses around 100 Chelsea pensioners. Opened in 2009 by HRH the Prince of Wales, it is a state-of-the-art care home that offers nursing and a GP surgery. The matron is in charge of the infirmary and has a dedicated team including nurses, therapists and care staff. The MTI has a gym and a hydrotherapy pool for use by pensioners. It has a range of activities pensioners can join, from pottery classes to poetry recitals. The infirmary received the Quality Hallmark Award at Beacon status from the National Gold Standards Framework Center in End-of-Life Care in 2015. Ceremonies. The annual ceremony of the Christmas cheeses is based on a 300-year-old tradition which began in 1692, when the Royal Hospital, Chelsea asked a local cheesemonger to provide its pensioners with cheese to get them through the festive period. The Dairy Council is now in its 56th year of organising a special ceremony at the hospital, where donations from cheesemongers from across the country are presented to the residents. A Chelsea pensioner cuts the ceremonial cheese with a sword, and the cheese is distributed among the pensioners around the Christmas period. Another annual tradition at the Royal Hospital is the Christmas cake ceremony, which commenced in 1949. It is a symbol of the enduring friendship between the UK and Australia, and takes the form of a Christmas cake being presented to the hospital from the Australian Returned and Services League, with each Australian state taking it in turns year by year. Again, a pensioner at the Royal Hospital cuts the cake with a sword. Public opening and events. The on-site museum details the history and life of the Royal Hospital and its pensioners, together with displays of artifacts, documents, medals, cap badges and uniforms. Recent additions include the Sovereign's Mason Parade Chair. A large diorama depicts the Royal Hospital and Ranelagh Gardens as they appeared in 1742. Daily walking tours of the site and museum, led by Chelsea pensioners themselves, can be booked in advance. The south grounds of the Royal Hospital are also used for large-scale public events, including the world-famous Chelsea Flower Show, held by the Royal Horticultural Society. The show has been held in the grounds since 1913 and attracts around 165,000 visitors. Singora cannon prominently displayed in the grounds next to the flagpole is an inscribed cannon from Singora bearing the seal of Sultan Suleiman Shah. The cannon was made in Singora around 1623, captured from the Sultanate of Singora by the Siamese in 1680. Taken from the Siamese by the Burmese in the Burmese-Siamese War of 1765 to 1767 and transported to Burma. In the Third Anglo-Burmese War, the cannon was taken by the British and shipped back to England. Organization. The hospital maintains a military-based culture which puts a premium on comradeship. The pensioners are formed into 3 companies, each headed by a captain of invalids. There is also a secretary who traditionally was responsible for paying the army pensions, but today they look after the annual budget, staff, buildings and grounds. Further senior staff include the physician and surgeon, the matron, the quartermaster, the chaplain and the adjutant. A board of commissioners has governed the Royal Hospital since 1702. The ex officio chairman of the board is Paymaster General. The purpose of the board is to guide the development of the Royal Hospital, ensuring the care and well-being of the Chelsea pensioners who live there and safeguarding the historic buildings and grounds, which it owns in trust. List of governors. The following is a list of those who have served as governor. Brigadier General Thomas Stanwix 1714 to 1720, Lieutenant General Charles Churchill 1720 to 1722, Lieutenant General William Evans 1722 to 1740. Field Marshal Sir Robert Rich, 4th Baronet, 1740 to 1768. Field Marshal Sir George Howard, KBPC, 1768 to 1795. Field Marshal the Marquis Townshend, PC, 1795 to 1796. General Sir William Fawcett, KCB, 1796 to 1804. General Sir David Dundas, GCB, 1804 to 1820. Field Marshal Sir Samuel Hulse, GCH, 1820 to 1837. General Sir Edward Paget, GCB, 1837 to 1849. General Sir George Anson, GCB, 1849. General Sir Colin Halkett GCB-GCH 1849–1856. Field Marshal Sir Edward Blakeney GCB-GCH PC 1856–1868. Field Marshal Sir Alexander Woodford KCB-KCMG 1868–1870. General Sir John Pennefather GCB 1870–1872. Lt. General Sir Sidney Cotton GCB 1872–1874. Field Marshal Sir Patrick Grant GCB GCMG 1874–1895. Field Marshal Sir Donald Stewart, 1st Baronet GCB GCSICIE 1895–1900. Field Marshal Sir Henry Norman GCB GCMG CIE 1901–1904. Field Marshal Sir George White VC GCB GCSI GCMG GCIE GCVO 1905–1912. General Sir Neville Littleton GCB GCVO PC 1912–1931. General Sir Walter Braithwaite GCB 1931–1938. General Sir Harry Knox KCB DSO 1938–1943. General Sir Clive Liddell KCB CMG CBE DSO 1943–1949. General Sir Bernard Paget GCB MC 1949–1956. General Sir Cameron Nicholson GCB KBE DSO *MC *1956–1961. General Sir Frank Simpson GBE KCB DSO 1961–1969. General Sir Charles Jones GCB CBE MC 1969–1975. General Sir Anthony Reid GCB CBE DSO MC 1975–1981. General Sir Robert Ford GCB CBE 1981–1987. General Sir Roland Guy GCB CBE DSO 1987–1993. General Sir Brian Kenny GCB CBE 1993–1999. General Sir Jeremy Mackenzie GCB OBEDL 1999–2006. General the Lord Walker of Aldringham GCB CMG CBEDL 2006–2011. General Sir Edmund Watt KCB KCVO CBE 2011 present.